Okay, that's rolling. If you could just say your name and how you describe what you do.
I'm Adam Staunton, I'm 31, I've been doing stand-up comedy for about 10 odd years. I also work part-time in a museum. I make little sketches, I write blogs, I just try and be as creative as I possibly can be in general.
So would you say that you're a comic performer, or would you say that you're a creative person that happens to specialise in comedy?
It's weird because I started doing stand-up first and then I started doing all this other creative stuff. But since I've started doing the creative stuff, I've never really seen myself as a stand-up comedian. It's not that I feel embarrassed, it's just that I feel like arrogant almost when I tell people that. Because I almost feel like that I'm basically saying my job is to be funny. I am funny, I'm a funny person, and sometimes I'm just not. So I wouldn't even say I'm a stand-up comedian, but I'd definitely say I'm creative.
So would you say that that pressure to be funny affects you either on or off stage at times?
It doesn't really affect me on stage anymore because I've got to the stage where I'm not comfortable with my persona on stage and the type of material that I write. Even if stuff doesn't get a laugh, I know that there's a grain of funny in there because otherwise I wouldn't have tried it in the first place. But generally I don't put pressure on myself to be funny, not anymore. Weirdly enough, I put less pressure on myself to be funny in social situations since I started doing stand-up. Like before I was gigging, especially when I was talking to like my mates and stuff, I would generally try and be funny and interesting and witty. And what stand-up comedy really taught me is that if you are literally not asked about what people think about you, they will actually like you a lot more because you are just being yourself. And people don't want to be around somebody who's trying to be the funny guy all the time. They just want to be around normal people. And the most normal that you are is when you're not trying to be something that you're not.
So you mentioned that when you're on stage you have a persona, and when you're up on stage you're somewhat similar to yourself. So would you say that there's a crossover between your sense of self and your stand-up persona?
Yeah, I think that's true with everyone who does stand-up. Everyone who does, unless you're doing like, I don't know, a character actor or something, I think if you're just doing like observational stuff, or even if you're just doing one-liners, those one-liners have got to come from somewhere. And I think where they come from is yourself. It's just you with the volume turned up. That's basically all that it is. Or it might be you with the volume turned down. I don't know. But I don't think people are fully themselves on stage. I think they exaggerate certain parts of their personality which they think are going to come across better to an audience or get more laughs and so on.
And do you think that there's a pressure to live up to your stand-up persona off stage?
I can see why some people would. I don't. Like if I'm at work and someone finds out I do comedy and says, tell me a joke, I just say no. And then just stare at them. Because I actually find that funny and entertaining for me is to I tell a really terrible joke on purpose. And then when they say they don't think it's funny, I say, really? You've got something wrong with you. Because I've done that in clubs and it's got a really big laugh. I try and give them a complex about their own personality, and I don't know if that's because I'm a little bit weird or if that's just what doing stand-up has done to me. It's made me, I'm not going to say bitter and more cynical, but it's made me a bit more willing to fuck around with people's expectations, of me as a person, because I just find that entertaining.
So you said that you could see how some other people might feel the pressure to live up to their stand-up persona off stage, but you don't have that. What do you think it's different about your mindset or your personality? It means that you're different to that?
Nothing that makes me out to be anything better than them or more intelligent or more creative. I think it's just a state of mind. Because when I was first doing stand-up, the first couple of years especially, I was like, I want everybody to like me. I want to be that guy who's, when his name's brought up in a car share, everybody says, oh, he's boss, I love him. And then I realised that it's pointless trying to make everyone like you because you inevitably are not going to like everyone. And there's some people who I don't care about their opinion of me. I don't wish them any harm, but I don't care about them, so therefore I don't care about their opinion on me. And I don't think that's ever going to change because I'm just in that mindset now and I can't see myself ever getting out of it. I don't know, maybe if I went to that next level and I was trying to get on the telly, then I'd be like, oh, I want everyone to like me again. But at the moment where I am in my life, I genuinely couldn't care less. And I think I'm a lot happier and healthier for it, to be honest.
So do you think that there is a communal aspect to the comedy circuit?
Yeah, that's the best thing about it. Easily. I don't know if it's the best thing. I guess the best thing is actually doing it, is performing it. But I think the social aspect is a very close second, because what's great about the social part of it is that you get to spend a very limited amount of time with people that you really like, which means that you really get along, and then you're going home, they're going home, so you don't get to see them, but you want to see them for longer. And it's that old adage of always leave them wanting more. And I kind of feel like that when I'm in green rooms with other acts, especially when it's other comics I really get along with. It's like, oh, I wish we like just could hang out all day because I'm really getting along with you. But they have to go. But that's fine, because I understand that that's what doing comedy is about. But it's like, I've got these boss mates, but they never overstay their welcome. And same with me. Like, people like get along with me, but then I don't overstay my welcome because I have to go and get my train, or I have to get the bus home or something like that.
So, given what you said, how intimate do you think that the connections that you make with other comics are or can be under those conditions?
Like, I think sort of stronger than you get with just friends from work, because you're bonding over something that you both genuinely love doing. Don't get me wrong, if you love your job, then obviously you're going to really get along with the people there. But because it's such a performance-based thing, doing comedy, when it's such a performance-based thing, you kind of, I think, build more of a connection with people, because you kind of, you don't even have to talk about it, you just kind of know what the other person's going through. If they have a bad gig, if they get heckled, and if they get some shit online from people, if they get trolled or something, you get that. You don't even need them to explain to you like what's going through their head, why they're upset about it. You kind of intrinsically understand it anyway, because you can put yourself in that person's position, more so than if it was like, I don't know, your manager having a bad day and you can't really empathise because you don't do that job, you don't do that role. So I think those connections are very, very close. And that's why so many comedians I think end up like shagging each other. Basically, I was going out with a comic for a while and it didn't work out, but I think that's just something that happens.
So what is it? That you personally get out of comic performance?
An ego boost, mates, money, status, and I think that's one of the most important ones. I think status, because I think that's what everybody wants, whether they want to admit it or not. I think everybody wants to have some sort of standing or some sort of position in life where they can kind of like entrench themselves and say, this is me, this is who I am, this is what makes me me. And I think stand-up is a really good way of doing that, because it's not violent, it's not threatening, it's not putting another person down so that you can come out on top. It's literally you using your own creativity to gain status. And I think that's like one of the most rewarding things that you can do in life, more so than having status by like carrying a knife or joining a gang or something like that, which I think a lot of other people do.
And what do you think that status is, if you were to...
It's, in a really simplified way, it's you just look a little bit cool. You look a little bit cool, you look a little bit sexy, you look a little bit like making other people envy. When it goes well, do you know what I mean? When it goes badly, nobody wants to be you or shag you. It's just the worst feeling in the world. But when it goes well, yeah, man, you're on cloud nine. You think that, and the first gig I ever did, it was at the end of a course that I did in university. So the audience were full of friends and family of the other people on the course. So naturally everybody smashed the gig because everyone watching wanted them to do well. And I died on my arse for the next, I don't know, couple of months after that gig. And I thought it was going to go as well as it went the first time. And even though I kept bombing, I thought I'm going to keep going because I want to get that feeling back that I had when I did the first gig. And I'm not going to stop until I get that again. But I'm going to do it organically this time. It's not going to be there because there's people there who want me to do well. It's going to be because I am making them laugh. And, you know, I got to that point a while ago, and I'm just happy to just keep doing that.
And how do you know when you're in that moment? Do you know leading up to it, or when you're in it, or do you know, or do you realise it after you've left that moment?
No, it's lovely. It's kind of like you don't really notice it's happening when it's happening. It's a bit like an orgasm. It's like you don't really, like afterwards you look back and you think, fuck, that was amazing. But at the time you're literally too busy enjoying it to notice that it's happening. Or it's like when I went to Pleasure Island with my mum and dad when I was like 6. It was like the first time I'd ever been to like, Pleasure Island was like Blackpool's like answer to Wacky Warehouse. And it was a shit all looking back. You used to get like an electric shock going down the slide. But at the time I had so much fun there that I forgot I was there, if that makes sense. I was just in the moment so much that I felt I'd been there for like 10 minutes and we've been there for 4 hours. And it's exactly the same with doing a gig. If you're smashing a gig, you'll do like half an hour and you'll come off thinking it's been 10 minutes. And one of the best feelings that you can have in comedy is when you do your time, you do like 20 minutes, and you come off stage and then you realise that there was a great bit you've had which you didn't get to do because they were laughing so much throughout that you filled your time. You know what I mean?
Okay, fantastic. So again, this will probably be the final question. So, moving forward, what is it you want to get out of comic performance?
Oh God, I don't know. Everyone's like doing one-man shows now and going to Edinburgh and stuff like that, and I just feel like that's a bit like, especially Edinburgh shows, you've got to have like an idea for that, and I haven't got any. Nothing tragic's happened to me that I could take to it and be like, oh, my nan's dead, and it's just, you know, she's been dead for years, I'm over it. I think I don't want to write a show about it. I don't know what the next step is. But I reckon if you just find something that you enjoy doing, you will inevitably find tangents from that, which will lead to you enjoying other things. So like, I started making little stupid sketches on my own, because I just was bored. I had a nice camera. And now I've started helping other people doing their sketches, and that's really rewarding. Because on the one hand, you get to be a little bit creative, but then at the other hand, it feels like a bit like work, and I think work is good. I think work is good for a person's psyche. That's why I have a job as well as comedy, because I don't see comedy as a job, and I want to have a job, because I think that gives you a certain sense of obligation, which you might not have if you just do comedy. If you just do comedy, then you're very content to just get up at 2 in the afternoon, just eat shite, smoke weed, just watch telly, do a bit of writing in the evening, and then be like, right, that's me work done. And it's like, no, you've not done any work. You need self-discipline in your life. And I've tried that with the gym, and I'm also trying that by having a job where I work in a museum. I've forgotten what the question was.
Well, I was going to ask you, just based on what you said, so do you think that kind of typical like comic lifestyle is like an unhealthy one?
Yeah, definitely, it can be. It promotes unhealthiness, because you don't have to get up early. It doesn't matter what you eat. You don't have to wear a uniform. You don't have to like clock in. You don't have to be in this. You can just you're your own boss, which is great if you're already a self-disciplined person. But I think a lot of I think like 90% of comedians are very lazy people, and they do comedy because they figured out they're good at it, and they desperately try to stay good at it because they don't want to get a real job. And I don't want to be that person. I want to always view comedy as like an incredibly boss hobby that I get to do. I don't want to see it as my full-time career, because as soon as I see it as my full-time career, then I'll start treating it like one, and that means that I'll start hating it. Whereas if I have another job, then I get all of the sort of discipline and rigmarole of having a job, and then I can apply that to doing comedy. So I will wake myself up at say 10 or 11, when normally I'd sleep in until 2, and I'd say, right, I am going to write for an hour, and then I'm going to get in the shower. And I've learned that from having a proper job, which sounds stupid, but when you're doing comedy on your own, you come up with loads of excuses to try and like bullshit your way out of doing anything productive, just because we're very lazy. Yeah.
Fantastic, that was really good.
Welcome.
Thank you.